Hello, everyone. My name is Benita G. You know that. I'm the host of the Education Concierge. Wow. Season 10. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, you know what to do. I actually have my sister's mug. She's so fancy. I have my sister's mug because we're going to drop gems. And you need your notepad and your pen, or whether you're using electronic, because you're going to get some notes that's going to help you as a parent, an educator, a community member, a student, and all of those people, the adults, I like to say, that are involved in the education atmosphere. Now, you know how much I love EdTech. I love EdTech. I love anything or anybody that's coming to bring our life in education easier and better, whether it's communication, whether it's finances, whether it's signing up for a fundraiser, or how to get to the game. So I have an amazing, amazing young man. I've watched his YouTube because, we vet people. I have gone onto his website. I have downloaded the app. I love it. So I'm going to bring him on, and you know how we do, family. Once they come on, they're what? They're family. Let's go. Let me see if I can bring him back in, y'all. Where did he go? Look, y'all, this is on me. Here we go. Got to remember how to do stuff on the iPad. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Benita. How are you?
So, listen, I do not like to butcher people's names. That was my pet peeve as a teacher. I pronounce my students' names. They would laugh at me. I would practice the first 2 weeks of school to get it correct. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you're doing right now.
All right. First off, thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Nitin Gour, the founder and CEO of Bloomster. I'll go on with my introduction if you like what I'm working on, stuff about Bloomster. So I envision a world, Benita, where every child on the planet grows into a self-aware, confident, and well-rounded individual, moving humanity forward. And in service of this vision, my mission is to empower adolescents, young teens and tweens with essential life skills for a fulfilling and successful life. Now, I didn't get there, in a short period of time. I can't tell you that I just woke up with a stroke of genius and started working on creating Bloomster. It took me a while to get there. Like many entrepreneurs, my life's journey hasn't been a straight line. It's a series of pivots, decisions, and slow-burning realizations that ultimately led me to where I am today. Let me give you a quick peek into my journey and how I get to this place. Because it's important for you to understand why Bloomster exists, why I created it, and why I'm so passionate about its mission. So my journey started with the technology after I graduated with a computer science degree. After 6 years in tech, starting from a junior programmer, analyst, a coder, to rising up to a project manager, I pivoted to finance, where I spent nearly 18 years at Citigroup. Those were rewarding years. Again, I started as a junior analyst, worked my way up, and eventually left Citi while I was serving as a director in its capital markets division. You're going to look at my finance career, those 18 years, into two halves. The first half, at the beginning, it was great. I was learning a lot, working with clients, taking them out for nice dinners, social events, sports events, living in Manhattan, working 70, 80 hours a week. That was a norm, and I enjoyed it. I'd do it all over again. No complaints about that. I thought I'd made it. Life was good. Right. Typical Wall Street bankers sort of a thing. But despite the prestige and being in the success of being at one of the top financial institutions and all the perks that came with it, I always felt this persistent void, a feeling that perhaps there's something more meaningful, something beyond the corporate hustle. So I embarked on a personal journey of discovery, and what I found led me to create Bloomster, a platform designed to equip children with essential life skills they need to thrive in the real world, so that they are prepared for anything that life throws at them. And to me, at the end of the day, success isn't just about career milestones or material achievements. It's about how we navigate through life and how joyful and fulfilling that journey is. So when I got to that point, I was very clear that I need to take an action and do something about it. And that's when I started building Bloomster. So obviously, as I said, this phase, it took me a while. This discovery phase was quite long. It spanned over half a decade. I know that, yeah, I'm going to talk about it, but I took a little longer than I should have. But at least I'm happy that I went through that exercise. I have a lot to share in terms of like what to do, what not to do, in terms of thinking through such a thing. There were two key things that I identified in this discovery phase. The first one, as your focus is on education, so I'll talk about that. Some of the podcasts that I've been on, the technology focus, so I start with technology. But I think let's talk about the education piece of it. I saw a big gap between the academic world and the professional world. What I mean by that is, and I got to that with very keenly observing my friends and colleagues, their kids, and how the education system was contributing to their growth and development. And I was looking at my own upbringing, how I grew up. So this was very personal. And then, I saw a gap of what is needed in the professional world. The traditional education system is not focusing on that. My career gave me this opportunity, provided me this opportunity to work with top professionals from all over the world. I was coordinating with top accounting firms, top tax firms, consulting firms. So it was not just the people at Citi. Even the Citi had a global footprint. So I was working with colleagues in multiple countries. So I knew that it was not like an East or West kind of an issue, or this state or that state, because I had friends all over the place. I could clearly see that something is missing, which is needed here. Let me double click on that. What do I mean by that? So as I rose up the ranks, as I was growing at Citi, I was promoted, I could see that being good at your craft, the technical skills, is not enough.
Right.
You are required to be more than that. You are required to manage teams. Yes, initially you're working on your own. You're given a task. You are just like doing that grunt work, if you will. And I was doing that with all my power and intention, and I got to learn a lot. But as I grew up, I was expected to lead teams and then manage people, mentor junior colleagues, negotiate transaction, give reviews, have those tough conversations, recruit, and hire and fire. So when you're doing all those complicated things, there's a whole different skill set that's required, and that's what was missing. I was defaulting on so many things. I was required to be a salesman internally to sell those transactions, meaning get approval from all the control functions. That's how banks work. And then externally, if an external client is involved, and I was transacting a lot of banks as well, Goldman Sachs, like JP Morgan, Bank of America, all those big ones. So I could see you are expected, in short, to be a leader, and those skills are not taught. We as adults, we focus on those when we are in our early 30s, and that too when we are working and stumbling through tough situations. That's very inefficient, in my opinion. That's how I did it. I used to I should have handled it differently. And I would go and read about it, articles, books, and whatnot. I would sit in that corner in that Barnes and Noble self-improvement, pick out books and read. So I went through all of that in my 30s, actually. And I had a constant thought, why didn't I learn these skills early on? Let's put a pin in there, and I'll come back to this. So that was education piece. Then the technology piece was equally important. And with my technology background, we've seen how technology has shaped our world in the last couple of decades. Let's see, let's call it from the turn of the century. When Google came in 98, it handed over the internet to you in that one search box. Then came social media in 2003, 2004. Then came smartphones in 2007. And the amount of data that we were producing just kept going up an exponential pace. And now if you see the data that we are producing in one day, we were producing that in the entire year. And these are facts. Go and look at Google in 2000. That was 1 year, and then we were producing that in one day. I'm just losing out on this terminology also. Gigabytes, megabytes, petabyte, exabytes, it's crazy amount of data we're producing. And the problem is not the technological advancements. Those are great. They're helping us get to the next level, productivity and all that. But as humans, I'm concerned about the pace of change. It's happening so fast, and that pace is accelerating every year, now every few months. I was already concerned with this combination of smartphones and social media and how it was affecting our kids. Now with this AI, it's a whole different game. uh, I am very concerned. I'm not like painting a doomsday scenario. The future with AI is incredible. We learned so much from it. I think whoever is not going to be able to use it, they're going to stand on the sidelines. They will become obsolete pretty soon.
Correct.
So please don't like take me there. But as humans, we need to learn how to use it for our advantage. It's very easy to get consumed by it. I can see that happening, and I'm seeing signs of it. But give it another few years, I mean, it will be difficult to even manage in 5 years. So I think this is the time to step back, see how we can use it, because we don't have the luxury of time this time. If you remember those days when social media was there, initially we were so mesmerized. Oh, great technology, let's share our pictures
Right.
and likes and whatnot. We were excited, but little did we know, we named them social networks, but they were making us antisocial, unhappy, and depressed in many cases. There's ample research to show us that. But to get to that position, it took us several years to get to that research and all. First of all, we were excited. First 5 years just went in that excitement. And then we began to realize, oh, there's something wrong. And obviously, like a lot of people got behind it, research happened, and now we know. But we don't have the luxury of time, because every few months we are served with a newer version of that AI product without naming it. But it's capable of doing miracles like every new version. So we are again in that phase, but it's happening so fast.
So
If
then,
you see,
so here's my question for you.
yes.
Because it's happening so fast,
Mhm.
how is your company actively disrupting or redesigning in that education space? Because AI is happening fast. And you said it, we say it all the time. You do need to get in the pool and learn how to swim, or you're going to be
Yes,
left behind. Like we're going to
left
go.
behind. Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
everybody's going to swim differently, and
Mhm.
somebody still needs to be a lifeguard there, of course, mandating and checking. But how was your company coming in? And I love it because you're like, Benita, there's two parts, and I've
Yeah,
merged it, and your background has been able to feed, and you've been able to see globally, because we are a global society, but not just one.
yes,
How
yes.
are you coming in as your company disrupting, or how are you redesigning? Because everybody's not a disruptor. Some people we need to redesign.
Yes. I mean, there are two levels of disruptions that I'm working on. And do you mind if I complete that technology piece actually? Because it's important for us to understand and
Yes.
connect it as a whole. So that we know that what AI is capable of even today. And if you give it another 5 to 10 years, that world is going to be dominated by intelligent machines, constant change, and extraordinary unpredictability. And if you can see that that's going to happen, at least based on my research and learning different podcasts and all that kind of stuff, and being connected in the tech world, I can see that's going to happen. So that individual who's going to be thriving in that environment, I mean, survival is one thing, but you want to thrive, or your child at least, you want that your child to thrive. That individual would need to continuously learn new things, would need to be resilient, have a growth mindset, make conscious and responsible decisions, take risks and learn from their failure.
Yes.
And do all this over and over again, because we know that AI is going to continuously change the game. I mean, now, like, there are jobs that you are doing as humans. Soon, AI will be there. Algorithms will take over. Robotics will take over. There's a research that came out by World Economic Forum, Future of Jobs, early this year, that clearly shows you that, okay, they're also, based on their research, are saying like millions of jobs would be effective. They're recommending all humans should think about upgrading their skills on an ongoing basis, things like that, which I know is going to be the case in the future.
Yes.
So if you see, there are those skills like self-confidence, resilience, self-discipline, mindfulness. These are the same skills. If you go back to what's required to be a leader, so I could see, like, there's a big overlap here. So I went on and like listed skills, and I came up with my holistic growth model, and that's how Bloomster came into existence. So that was like the reason why I created it. But now to answer your question about what am I trying to disrupt. So when I started, there were a lot of skeptics. How are you going to teach these life skills? Because it's mostly like done through the real world situation, practice and all, right? I mean, out in the field is when you teach your child. You have to be there. So I have really worked hard on our teaching model, and it's a story based, very close to how the teaching happens in the real world. But before I get there, as I said, there are two things that I'm trying to. So the bigger thing that I'm trying to disrupt is the mindset. It's about reframing what education means. I mean, we're so used to measuring learning with test scores, grades, and academic subjects. Nothing wrong with that, but when I talk about, like, teaching self-awareness, self-confidence, or emotional regulations, some people are like, is that really learning?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but I get, like, parents and educators are coming from a caring place, and they want the best for kids. I know that. But we're so deeply conditioned over the years, decades, that we see traditional education as the only path to success. And that's where the problem is. So I start by asking a very simple question. What do you want your child to be like at 18?
Right.
Now, you know what? Most of the time, I get this answer or something like, I want someone who's resilient, confident, empathetic, focused. Rarely have I ever heard someone who got straight A's. And that opens the door. And that's, once you realize that these skills would not just magically appear, you begin to see, like, how we can teach these skills early, intentionally, and in a structured way. I also explained in that conversation that we're not trying to compete with academics. And personally, academics absolutely needed, but we need to supplement those with something. Because once a child learns how to regulate their emotions, stay focused, and believe in themselves, trust me, they will perform much better at all areas of life, including academics or school. The true success, in my opinion, I mean, you want to say something?
No, I want to push back. So what happens when you do come across parents or guardians or people in the community and say, look, that is not the teacher's place to teach that to my child. That is my job as the parent. I need to teach them how to be a leader at home. I need to teach them how to do this and that at home. How would you, or how are you, because you're already in this process, how are you not combating it, but how are you unlearning, and then how are you growing together with those parents, guardians, and adults?
Yeah, right. Now that's a great question. So that's the second piece, how I'm disrupting, how I'm trying to teach. So at Bloomster, we're very intentional about how we teach, because it's not about passive consumption. And we know that engagement alone isn't enough, because kids actually have to apply what they learn in the real world. And that's the key piece, application. It's not about teaching concepts here. So our approach combines real life stories and situations, interactive learning, and real world practice. Every lesson is designed around scenarios that are relatable and kids actually face on a daily basis. Things like dealing with peer pressure, being overwhelmed at school, or navigating complex life relationships or situations. And we bring all these scenarios or situations to life through characters and stories they can relate to and see themselves in. And that's what makes learning relevant and personal, and the reason why it sticks. But we don't just stop there. Every course includes interactive check-ins, reflection exercises, module challenges, and activities that encourage learners to take what they have learned in the course or lessons and use it right away. For example, if they're learning about, let's say, impulse control, the lessons would encourage them to apply stop, think, and act method in their daily life situations. Or if they're learning about leadership, lessons would encourage them to take on some small leadership role at their home or in some project at school, so that they actually practice these skills. So Bloomster, it's not about teaching concepts, it's about building habits, because kids are not learning about resilience, mindfulness, conflict resolution, effective communication. They're actually living these skills in their everyday experiences. So it's all about practical applications. So that's how we're approaching it. That's how we're disrupting how we can teach these skills to our kids.
So you said what we've been talking about all year, especially in season 10, about building a legacy. But one of the things you said is that, I started teaching in 1998. And the kids that I taught in 1998 are now parents. And their children, we could tell them back in the day, do this, do this, do this because I said so.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And I love how you said it's not just about concepts, Benita. It is about taking the concept and being routine, building a routine, but applying it to life, because that's really what happens when we're building leaders. We're building global citizens. I tell my students, at the end of the day, no one cares about your SAT or your ACT. They don't care what the Iowa basic test or the Florida basic skills. Are you a good person? Are you a good leader? Are you a good employee? Are you a good employer? These are the skills that are global. Can you communicate effectively? Can you close the deal? Like, this is what we're looking for. And I love how you started, and you said something important in the beginning. You said, I learned these things in my 30s, and it's kind of like you self-taught. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, why should the next generations wait till they're 30 when life is going like this now? And we need to prepare them. So here's my next question. When you're looking forward, because I know you do that. I know that's what you're doing, because you have to. You're in EdTech, you're in technology. As you're looking forward, what is one thing that you feel is going to be a challenge? And then how do you face challenges?
A challenge for the future would be, as I said, how to handle AI. And I'll mention it like, I'm not negative on AI, and I already see we're learning so much from it. But I'll take a very simple example. Like when I used to write my school applications, started with a blank document, obviously the question that I had to address for my application. But it took me a while to put down the first paragraph, let's call it, for those first few lines. So you have to push your creative muscle, right? That's how we developed. You and I, that's what I'm expecting this. So that's how we developed. But nowadays, with this AI, you just give it a prompt, enter, split seconds, you have 1,000 words right away, beautifully written. Like, I'm amazed what I see. What that is doing to our kids is they'll get used to that and they won't be able to develop that muscle. So we need to ensure that our kids understand that and provide them that environment. But obviously they need to know that's how the work will be done in the future. But at the same time, we have to balance those two. I think that's the big challenge for the future that we have. And that's what my quest is actually. Our courses are not about telling kids this is what you should do or this is how you should think. We are providing the tools, the framework. For example, my target audience is middle schoolers, basically. That's what I want to focus on initially, and then I'll grow into high school as well. And I can get into why I chose this age group to start with. But going back, we want to give them all the tools so they can think critically, question the status quo, and manage complexity with confidence. So those are the base tools that I want to give them. And the skills that I want to teach, self-awareness, self-discipline, these are the basic skills. Another example that I'll take is, and personally, I've struggled with this, and that is my challenge. And that's how I thought, kids could use that when they grow up, is to be able to set boundaries and say no to many things. And I'm very bad at that. Being self-aware allows you to do an inventory of your values and beliefs, your thoughts and emotions, your strengths and weaknesses, what matters to you, why it matters to you, your behavior and how it affects people around you. So when you do that exercises, that's what our course also teaches kids. When you go through all of that, it's much easier to set boundaries and say no to things because it doesn't align with your values, if you think of it that way. Because I tend to get into this whole relationship thing before even thinking about what are my values and all. Right. And that's how I used to. I'm trying to work after learning, because I'm not the expert who's created the course. Some PhD that I hired, who created it, experts, 20, 25 years of experience, who have gone through, dealt with kids in the space, psychological evaluation and all that kind of stuff. They have created these courses. So I got to learn while we were developing. So I think we are trying to address those kind of challenges. And I see, as I pointed out, that world will have constant change. So they need to be resilient and all that. So they'll face a lot of those challenges. My 4-year-old, when she is ready, I don't want the world to dictate what she is doing. I want her to be self-aware, be actively involved in what she wants. And that's the big problem I saw with kids these days. It hurts me when I ask a kid who's thinking of applying for colleges, and I would ask my friends, the kids, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm not saying anything wrong with that. Yes, a lot of us have done that. We're still here where we are, but that's inefficient. I've seen kids also after a year, oh, this is not for me, and they're figuring out credits, how I can move to a different university and stuff like that. Why deal with all of that? That's your opportunity cost or your expense becomes more and more in terms of your time, resources, and all as you grow. I mean, in our case, in my case, 30s, the cost was way more at that time. I wish I had started early on. So I want my child at least to think through what she wants to do, so that when she is in that world, she's able to know, okay, this is not for me. Even though the world is pushing me in that direction, everybody is saying, okay, this is what everyone should be doing. She knows if she is interested in music, that's her thing. That's what she should do. Broadway, that's what she should do. The world is moving towards technology. So everybody needs to be self-aware and confident in whatever they want to do. So those are the challenges I would say, that I'm working on, and I wish everyone gets a chance to think through that way.
Yes, and this is where we're going. Self-advocacy, making sure they are self-aware, exposing students to different career fields. I love how you said that. Look, if she knows who she is, that, we don't need to go down that road. So we're going to move to some other things that we talk about here on the podcast. The next part, let me see if I can remember the name of it, because sometimes I change the name. We call it I used to call it controversial corner, but now we call it the truth table. And you don't get any prep for this, y'all know when we do the controversial corner or the truth table, our guests don't have any prep, but we want to talk about something that's just happening in the world right now. And so this happened to me just recently, as I was working with a group of students this summer, high schoolers, and we were talking about preparing their resume, and we were doing their statement of purpose. And I said, let me teach you how to use AI. So let's just use ChatGPT. And I had a student, or Gemini, or Claude, I had a student raise her hand, and she said, I would prefer not to use that because of the environment. And I said, well, school me, because I wasn't aware. So tell me more. And so she proceeded to tell me, and I was sitting there valid point, agreeable. How are we moving forward? Because I love how you say we have to move forward, but also moving forward, how do we still help the environment? So, and that's what I asked her that also. I said, well, I love that. Go ahead and write yours down. I will put it in ChatGPT, and I know now we're working with AI to make I call them bundles. That's not the right word, but I make little bundles for my class, which helps the environment, because now it's smaller and we only use that. But how can we navigate that? Because now it is becoming a controversy.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few thoughts there. And after that, I'm very curious actually why you ended up changing your name of this thing from controversial corner to truth table.
Okay.
So I'll ask you that. But let me think.
Okay.
So I spoke to someone, a similar thing. Let me see if I can connect here. That kids, and in this case, you were writing paper for?
Yeah, so they were doing their resume. They needed a statement.
Resume, okay, yeah. So in that case, that person was helping these kids write their applications for school.
Yes.
For universities. My response would be that you And first of all, like universities have caught on to this, and I learned through my research and from that person as well, that they have systems to put your applications through
Yes.
that basically detects like whether it's written with AI and all. Like plagiarism, yes, they already had from decades, but now this whole AI thing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like original or AI, they are able to, and then if that it comes out, then it's a big deal.
Right.
My first thing is be as authentic in your essays or whatever resumes as possible, because the moment you get into the realm of like because AI is hallucinates, it will cook up some stuff which you will find very tempting to put in your resume or applications and all. You'll try to come up with some like spin on it. Yes, I did this, so
Mm-hmm.
it kind of relates to that. But I would say write less and be authentic, because someone reading your resume, if I read, I don't want to know, okay, you did this or that or this, but whatever you did, how involved were you in that? What was your role and how did you make that difference? If you can convince me on those and I know what kind of person you are, that doesn't matter if like somebody did these 10 things, I would still hire you. I mean, if you're talking about resume, same thing about your university application. If you are authentic and tell them exactly what you did and why you did it, why it matters to you, that's all that matters. Like instead of like putting, because chat gpt can give you like 1,000 words right away, which will sound really good and you will be tempted. So that's one thing. And I do understand what you're talking about like nowadays, like there was a whole controversy about like these various AI engines, like what they were doing in terms of the AIs, because there was a lot of like push from the previous administration to implement some ideology so that it should incorporate that. I'm not advocating for the current administration, but at least they've like opened it up that, and I'm a believer in freedom. Actually, every entity or every institution, even every individual, have the freedom and should have the freedom to do or decide or think the way they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we will be going in that direction. The current administration is putting a foot down in terms of, if let's say some institution wants government funding, then they have to like at least not go in one particular direction. So that's how I see it. Like let the institutions do and individuals do what they want to do. I would recommend all children, everybody, to make their own decisions, but be authentic in terms of writing resumes and papers and all.
Okay. Thank you. And let's see. So controversial corner and truth table kind of to me are the same. Like it's kind of like truth table is when a group of us sit down, a bunch of friends out for dinner, phones our way. And everyone knows like you and your friends have something in common, but you don't always agree on everything. And because we come from different backgrounds of growing up, and we would start to be like, okay, let's talk about the truth table. Like, how do you feel about that, and why did you do that? Or and we don't always have to agree, but it's always going to be a safe space for you to share your thought.
You're hitting the right point. Like we might not agree.
Right.
And there are a lot of situations that I see in the current environment. I'm sure you're aware of what's happening in different states and all. But I think the moment you start to draw a line, like, this is right or that's wrong, I think what I've learned over the years is that as humans, we should be allowed to think whatever we want. And there's like, our own experience, upbringing and all. At one point, you might feel like, that's wrong.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to get to another part that's really, really fun. This one is called Rapid Fire Reframe. And it's just like, I'm going to give you some questions or I'm going to give you this or that.
Okay.
And look, I tell my people all the time, it's supposed to be rapid, but in the education field, we don't know how to pick and choose. And sometimes we say both and sometimes we say neither. And that is acceptable also.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Curriculum or culture?
Hands down, culture.
One thing you would delete from a traditional school day?
Overemphasis on rote memorization. And that was my, pet peeve growing up, in my, studies.
Most overused education buzzword.
Well, nowadays, I think everything needs to be AI powered, AI infused, and stuff like that. Yeah,
Love it. Would you start with strategy or do you start with heart?
that's a tough one. I want to say both, but let me qualify. I think that first step, if you're talking about start, I think that's hard, no doubt in my mind, because you need to take that leap of faith, that start. But immediately as you start, you need strategy, you need plan, because it's all about execution.
What is the most meaningful mistake you've made? And it can be in your personal or your professional life.
Meaningful mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. Maybe not leaving my job sooner than what I did. Yeah, it took me a little too long. I do see that. Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
would say.
And that's meaningful because you in not leaving, you still learn some more things you use now.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
But I won't second guess. That was also one of the learning, that how it happened, that's exactly how it was supposed to happen.
Yes. I totally believe those things. Yes.
Yeah.
What would your 15-year-old say about your work today?
This is again hands down. Thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
I love it. What is
Yeah.
one myth about education that needs to go away?
Oh, that grades are the ultimate measure of success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Test scores or testimonials?
Testimonials, I'd say again, same thing. Yeah.
Textbooks or TikTok tutorials?
That I would say depends on the source actually. Because I'm sort of negative because I see like doom scrolling on TikTok, like, people wasting a lot of time, but there is some good content.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the source is good, who's creating that, I think, yeah, I would vote with TikTok, but then books are also important.
I love it. And the last one for this round. Oh, I did put my little banner up. Here you go. The last one for this round. Fill in the blank. The future of education is.
I mean, for me, it's holistic learning. Holistic.
I love it. So we get ready to wrap up. So this is how we wrap up. What do you want our listeners to do next? How can we support you? Or how do we shift our thinking to be in alignment with you and your company?
I'd say, first of all, give Bloomster a chance, and decide for yourself. Like, I'd ask all listeners to go to bloomster.com. We provided several ways how you can start using the platform. The best is to start a 14-day trial. Yes, you're providing your credit card details and choosing a plan and all, but you can cancel anytime. And I can guarantee, if you're serious about teaching these skills, every course is vetted by a PhD. That's a evidence-based, research-based, age-appropriate content. And I'd like parents to try out a few things in the course. And if they see value in that course, and then please move ahead with that. Otherwise, you can just cancel. And I'm confident that you will not. You can also look at our blogs. I am a big fan of our blogs. I review them personally. You can start from August and work your way backwards. That's one way to basically understand things about these skills that I'm talking about. There are some ebooks that we have, and these are all free, basically. Ebooks are a way to assess if, let's say, your child is struggling with something, decision making, relationship building, confidence, whatever. In those ebooks, you'll see like there are 5 scenarios that, again, the course creators have created themselves. And those are actual real world situations. You can have an engaging conversation with your child rather than putting them at a spot and asking a question. You're just going through a scenario and then asking in a very open way, what would you do in this situation? And then let them answer, don't try to dig out answer and all. If they're open to answering that situation, you can move on to the next scenario. That's how you will be able to evaluate, what, I know that he or she could learn a bit on decision making or confidence or conflict resolution. There are 18 or so ebooks. They can start there. But I would also humbly ask everyone to please look into this, because we owe it to our children, and I can clearly see the world or the direction we are heading. This would be required, and I would want you to make your own opinion, because every parent and educator want the best for their child, as I
Yes.
said, and they want them to live a happy and successful life. But there are a lot of misconceptions around how to teach these life skills. The biggest one that I would raise here is that kids will just pick up these skills as they go.
Right.
I mean, why? I mean, I think that these skills, like how can a leadership, conflict resolution, and all these skills need to be taught in a structured way. And that's where I want to assure parents that an expert has provided certain, like, tools in our courses. So you don't have to think like, whether I'm doing a good job and teaching this skill or that skill. And that's where I also step away. I'm not claiming to be an expert. This is somebody who knows this field, like Beth, who's a PhD. She has 25 years of experience, created the self-confidence course. So we can all rely on these experts. Like that's how, like, I see a lot of parents who take their kids for therapies and all. That's what's happening, right? So here you have, like, bunch of courses that you can go through, and I can guarantee you can go through like at least one. I won't want you to, like, again, like in that trial period, do multiple courses, because these are skills you want to sit with those, let them, like, sink in, reflect on those. And there are a bunch of exercises and all that we recommend. So you follow the process, go with the course, and then you'll start to see the difference happen. That's what I would say, like, at least give it a try.
I love that. And because I work in an innovative space, I'm just thinking our girls group, our boys and girls clubs, our YMCAs, our micro schools, homeschool hubs, all of us who are in these innovative spaces, those of us, myself, we do weekend events and activities with our students online. And so we can always carve out. I remember working at a school when we had every Monday and Friday, we called it our homeroom. And they would come to us at the end of the day for 20 minutes, and we would carve out just time to talk. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I would definitely do this as a group or in small groups, and say, hey, here's a scenario. Talk amongst yourselves. How would you handle that? Or tell me, I'm in this situation. It's me. Help me, guide me through. And then go through and how it will work out. I appreciate this. I'm excited about this. It is one of the things we love about EdTech here is that when you come in and you're feeling the need of what we actually need, not something you just thought of and nobody needs it. Like you're literally coming in, looking at these skills. You've lived these skills. You've seen the lack or the thriving of these skills, and you're like, this is what I can offer. And I completely appreciate that. So 2 things. This is how we do an outro. I am a little country girl from Lawrenceville, Virginia, but I went to church, a little Shiloh Baptist Church on Otterdam Road. Those of you from Southside Virginia, you know what I'm talking about. And we'd love for our guests to give us the final word. And the final word means you close out this episode. You can say a word, a quote, a prayer, a poem, a call to purpose, whatever's in your heart, because we want you to leave legacy in real time.
No, thank you for this opportunity. And I'll again add to what I was saying is, and this is my humble request to all parents, that I cannot do it alone. And I want your support. And I'm here. If you give it a try, I mean, you can email us at contact@bloomster.com. I mean, I will get to know what you want. I want your feedback. If there's something missing in a course, I'm here and I'll get it implemented. If there's a new course that you want on the platform, you know what, you have these courses, but I was thinking of this, and there are a few courses that came to being because of that. And the latest one was Focused You course that we built, because I see a lot of kids are being like labeled as, okay, there's something wrong, ADHD. Doctors are good at prescribing those medicines and all, and I feel that's like a pandemic that's happening, and we need to do something about it. So Corina Ware, who's a PhD again, like, and she is an expert in this field. She has created this course, and her and I were like, debating about, not debating, but at least discussing what can we do. And she had great ideas. So that's how Focused You, like how to help kids focus. We didn't want it to like even use the word that there's something wrong. Kids are supposed to think about 10 different things. It's just about helping them manage. Yes. So that's what the course is about. So I'm saying is, I want your feedback. There are a few things that I've added after talking with the moms, And the recent one, like, a few months back, was I was talking to this mom where she had come out of this a bad relationship or bad marriage, moved from West Coast to East Coast, and she was talking about that and how her two sons are going through, because as adults, at least we have tools, we have friends and all that, we can discuss the stuff. But kids also go through this, right? I mean, you've taken them out from from that world where they had friends and all, and then now you're at a new place. So kids struggle through that. So what we have on our website is, if you click on the courses link right in the header, there are 3 ways you can enroll in courses. One, the first tab is all about exactly, I want my child to look into self-confidence or conflict resolution, decision making, and that's one way. The second, the one that I learned from this mom, we've listed some life event like divorce, separation, or death or loss in family, peer pressure. There are 16 of those life events that we thought of, and then we have created, or I should say, I worked with experts, these again, teachers and PhDs, educators, and picked few courses that can help with that particular life situation, life event. And then that's easy, should be easy enough. Okay, this is the life situation that my kids are going through. They see, okay, these are the 4 courses. Every plan, we call them growth plan or life event plan. These life event plans are 4 courses. You can enroll in them right away. So these are the things. So, and then there's one more way where, again, I learned from a mom, and she was very simply said, oh, Nitin, my child is shy. What can I do about it? That gave me that thought, and I thought, parents can tell, because they know best about their child. They can tell me 2 to 4 things. My child is not good at making decisions or relationship building or is shy, things like that. We've listed 21 of those. They select, and then they click. They are given a growth plan. They can enroll in that. So there are multiple ways that you can get started and start this journey. This is absolutely needed. Again, that's my plea and humble request to parents. But decide for yourself, basically.
I love it. I love it so much. So, audience members, family, all of that information will be in the show notes. How to contact, the links, where you need to go to get started. And look, let's get started. Thank you so much for coming on season 10. Season 10, we're talking about legacy and progress. This is definitely legacy and progress. We know where we're going, including the technology part with the soft skills or with the life skills. I love how you said that. The life skills that our students, I don't even want to say students, that the next generations will need is so important. I appreciate you coming on. And that's a wrap, you guys. I will see you next time. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, and support. When our guests come on, they are businessmen and women. They are business owners. They are entrepreneurs. And it's not just enough for you to listen to the podcast if you don't participate in the business. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
All right. No, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.